Welcome to Salisbury University on the Air, a program highlighting the activities and the people of the campus. My name is Susan Purnell. In 2005, the Business, Economic, and Community Outreach Network, better known as Beacon, conducted a study that placed Salisbury University's impact on the regional economy at just over $350 million. More than a decade later, a new Beacon study released this year shows that impact has increased to nearly $500 million as of 2016. Here to tell us more is Dr. Memo Diriker, Director of Beacon. So welcome, Memo.
Pleasure to be here.
Always glad to see you
Thank
again.
you.
Yes. So the obvious first question is exactly how much of an impact does the study show that SU has on the region, and define for me the region?
Well, we use the 9-county region of the Eastern Shore and a little bit of Sussex County in Delaware and Accomack County in Virginia as our region. Our core region really is the Tri-County region, Lower Eastern Shore. But this study looks at the slightly larger region, the Eastern Shore, Delmarva Peninsula region.
And so annually, how much?
Almost $500 million. In fact, $480 million in change is the
$480
total
million.
annual economic impact of this university in our region.
So that's, if my math's correct, 130 million more than you found in the last study.
Correct. It's been a while since we've done this. It's a 10-year anniversary of the previous study. And we're not at all surprised. The university is bigger. We have more people attending. We have more employees. And the nature of our business has changed. We're doing interesting things. We're doing better outreach. We're doing all kinds of entrepreneurial initiatives. So it's only logical that the economic impact would increase. The increase didn't surprise us. The magnitude surprised us a little bit in a pleasant way.
Now, I know that a study like this is broken down into several categories. Which one has had the most impact?
Understandably, our operations is the big thing. We have close to 2,000 employees, and the students coming and paying tuition. We get state appropriations. We have auxiliary enterprises. So the operations component, what our employees spend in the community, what we spend on our vendors, that is the biggest chunk, about $240 million.
So that includes their paying of their bills and their salaries. All of that is in that category.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Not the totality of the salaries, not the totality of the bills we pay, only those that stay in the
local.
region. Yeah. Our impact is actually much bigger than $500 million, but a good chunk of it leaves the area. This is the impact that only stays in our area.
Okay, I understand that. Now, how many people are actually employed here at SU?
When you count our full-time and part-time, we have 1,800 plus employees who work with us. And that has been fairly steady the last few years. Those employees, as we mentioned, spend their money, a lot of them who live in the region and commute, spend their money here. That's the big impact.
And how many more is that than in the previous study?
We've added not terribly much because we've had, if you recall, we went through a recession. So we added maybe...
I do recall. I was right there.
we probably added about 200 headcount, but mostly in part-time rather than full-time. Our full-time headcount has been fairly steady.
Okay. Now, what about student spending?
Student spending is a very large chunk. Conservatively, almost $100 million a year in student spending churns in the local economy. When you imagine a student coming here, especially students who are not from here, bringing money from, say, the Baltimore region and spending it here, that's like almost exporting a product somewhere else.
Right.
They bring fresh money.
$100 million.
Almost $100 million.
How many students are we talking about?
We're talking about almost 9,000 students, 8,700 students. So it's a large number of individuals. This does not include, by the way, our students who are from here. The reason it doesn't include that is because they would have spent their money here anyway.
Okay, so we're looking at incremental, right?
Exactly.
All right, very, very interesting. Now, I would also assume that these students have visitors who come for homecoming and graduation and even the bike races.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that. Is that factored in?
Oh, yes. Anytime somebody from outside the area comes because of the university, their spending is counted. Not all of their spending, but their university-related spending is counted. When you add all the athletic events, the teams that come in, the families that come in, the homecoming celebrations, the Seagull Century, various visits by potential students and their families, all of that adds to our local economy about $4.4 million. This is when they stay at the hotels, go to the restaurants, buy gasoline,
Go to the jewelry
go to the
stores.
jewelry stores, all of those good things.
I love it when the families come into the jewelry store. It's like,
And our
yay, you found
retailers
downtown.
and our retailers are aware of that
Yes.
throughout the region.
Yes, absolutely. And then all the money that they spend then gets spent over and over, I would
Correct.
assume.
This is what we call the multiplier effect. The money churns in the local economy. When somebody gets paid by SU, they then go out and buy something. That employee then of that establishment buys something. So we calculate how much of that money churns in the local economy, and that adds to the total number.
Absolutely. I know that I personally try to buy locally whenever I can, because putting money back into our own economy only strengthens all of us,
Exactly.
all the nonprofits, that sort of thing. One of the categories in your study was campus construction. Let's talk a little bit about that because there's a lot going on in that area.
Correct. Especially in the past 15, 16 years, we've been almost constantly in construction of something or another. And all of that is good for not only the operations of the university, we have a better physical plant, we have more facilities, we can accommodate more, we can do more, but also it brings money to the economy. The money we spend on the vendors, the construction companies.
All the contractors.
Absolutely, the supplies we bring in. Now, not all of the money, of course, stays here. A lot of the contractors are from elsewhere, but even so, they employ local people or their employees come and stay in the local hotels. So when you look at the total spending over the past 15, 16 years and calculate the annual impact, it is well over $30 million a year in construction
From the
impact.
construction.
Correct, and it's still going on.
Talk about some of the new buildings that we have had go up over the last decade.
The one I'm very biased and particular about is the Purdue Hall. This is the home of Beacon.
Your home.
Exactly. So that was a new construction. We have the stadium construction going on. We have the Academic Commons, the biggest building on campus being constructed. Magnificent facility.
I know, I can't wait to see that.
Absolutely. We had the dorms that were built in University Square. We have constant little renovations going on. So construction is a fact of life in a growing campus.
Hasn't TETC been in the last decade as well?
Absolutely.
'Cause
TETC was
huge presence.
In fact, until the Academic Commons, TETC was our largest building. Now the Academic Commons is going to be the largest building. So there's always something going on in a good way. The tennis courts, the parking lots.
Right.
We don't see those as construction, but we spend money on that, and that money turns locally.
Yes, you do. Now, of course, there's also the perks of an educated workforce.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about how many people stay here in the area.
This
that
is
go
an
to
area
school
we
here.
are very proud of. In fact, this is an area where we are seeing incremental growth. Currently, we estimate about 10% of our graduating class stays here. That's
that right?
actually a very conservative estimate. We deliberately kept that conservative because many a time when these studies are done by universities, the criticism is that we're making wild assumptions. We went in the other direction. We were very, very conservative in our assumptions. In fact, the range we looked at of the percentage that stays is between 10 and 17%. We kept the 10% number just to be conservative. Even with that 10% number, cumulatively, those people staying here, getting jobs, establishing companies, etc., you're looking at $112 million a year economic impact by
That
these
was
people.
my next question. So just staying here annually translates into $112 million
Annually.
from
And
students. That,
and the one thing I want to mention here is this is the 10% per year that stays. And again, from a range of 10 to 17, we picked 10 to be conservative. But it doesn't take into account another component. We know that a number of our students graduate, leave, get married, have children, and then come back. That population now comes with 2 income earners, and they have an even further economic impact. That's a little
But
bit harder to
that's-
calculate.
yeah, I
so
mean-
we didn't include that, but now, I can tell you that it is
that it does happen.
It does happen. It's much
Yes.
more than this 112 million you see. It is there.
Absolutely. That's so impressive. Now it's tax season. Let's talk about how much of an impact does SU have on the local, national, and state coffers?
Well, anytime there's economic activity, various uncles have to take their share.
That's right.
From Uncle Sam to Uncle Hogan, they have to take
Right.
their share. So what happens is that when not only are there business taxes being paid, sales taxes being paid, but there are income taxes being paid. When you add all of this, we have close to $80 million in annual fiscal impact generated by the university's activities in this region.
In all three areas.
Correct.
Okay.
Local, federal, and state. Yeah.
And that's money that can be reinvested by these government agencies, right?
Absolutely. And this actually doesn't even take into account something we call pilot payments in lieu of taxes. We have a number of establishments around the campus that are public-private partnerships, and we pay the local government's additional funds for police protection, fire protection, etc. So not even taking that into account, just the taxes is close to $80 million. And that's, as you said, that is what pays for the roads, that is what pays for the staff that handles our daily core needs as a community. All of the things we take for granted that is done by the public sector, we have a little piece of that.
I think our community probably takes it for granted and doesn't realize that kind of an impact that it has on things that we enjoy every day, like you say, the roads, the infrastructure.
In fact, even though we are a nonprofit government agency, we generate the third highest fiscal impact in the region. So that says something.
Who are the other two?
Peninsula Regional and Purdue Farms.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Now, I know there are a few, maybe even more than a few, different methodologies for conducting a study such as this. Can you explain what you used?
Well, the gold standard is using something called IMPLAN. The Minnesota IMPLAN group has created this input-output planning modeling system for estimating economic impact many years ago, and over the years they have improved it. And they calculate every year how $1 spent in one sector of the economy churns in the other sectors for each of the 3,000 plus jurisdictions in the United States. So we use that. We get the data from IMPLAN. It's a very expensive data set to acquire, but it is very precise. It enables us to not only look at our impact, but see how, as we mentioned earlier, the dollars churn in the local economy.
Now, I know you have shared this with some of our regional leaders, and what has been their reaction?
Well, they always knew we were an important economic entity, economic engine in the community, and these numbers validated what they felt inherently that SU meant for them. And they were very kind to share their thoughts with us. And on our website, on the SU website, there's a list of all these people, the who's who of, if you will, the region, praising the university and talking about the economic impact from the CEO of Peninsula Regional to the mayor to the county council to all the different Ocean City mayor, etc. These individuals have always known what a gem Salisbury University is, not only as an educational institution, not only as a cultural icon here, but also as an economic engine.
Right.
So they were very kind to share with us their thoughts, and it's on our website.
That's great, and I actually would like to go and read some of those, but I know I personally am so thankful, and every person in this community should be so thankful for the economic impact that we have from the college. Now, you've been here at SU at least since the 90s, am I right?
1989.
1989, okay. And you've seen a lot of this growth. What is your prediction for future growth?
I strongly believe we're going to continue to grow. The need of the economy is such that we need skilled, educated, trainable workforce. Together with the community colleges, we fulfill a very important economic need by educating that workforce. Furthermore, we provide input to the local economic development by creating knowledge, know-how, technology. So the need for the product that the university offers, or the products that the university offers, is growing. As that growth continues, and as we become more entrepreneurial in our efforts, and as the community recognizes us more, and they give more in donations and endowments and funding, we will continue to grow. As we grow, our impact in the local economy will also grow.
Will it top $500 million?
Actually, we have already surpassed $500 million.
Have we really?
Because this study uses 2014 dollars.
Oh, okay.
Now we're in 2016. But when you look at the growth curve that we've been using, we have already topped it. We just don't have the numbers yet, but we know we have already tapped $500 million. The next goal is $750 million in another 10 years.
Gosh, that's just almost $750 million. That's money I can't even fathom. Let's talk about our president, Dr. Janet Dudley Eshbach. She's had a long 16-year tenure. What impact do you think her leadership has had on the campus and the regional economic impact?
She has been a tireless advocate of the university on the other side of the bridge. Obviously, here she is. She's our leader. She takes care of us. But more importantly, a lot of these battles for funding, for preeminence, for position in the higher education system are fought in battlegrounds that are not here.
Right.
They're in Washington, D.C., they're in Annapolis, they're in the national stage. And Dr. Janet has been tireless advocate for the university and has been very, very successful in getting those resources, both from our private donors as well as from our government contacts and our appropriation dollars and from our system itself. We have seen so much in the way of construction funding, in the way of growth funding, in the way of prestige in these 16 years that we really need to have a statue of her on the front lawn.
I agree. I sit on the foundation board, and over the years, every time we talk, just the first conversations about a business, about a new building, such as the Academic Commons, I think, oh my gosh, how is that ever going to come to fruition? The numbers are so large, and then it just happens. And I know it doesn't just happen.
No,
I absolutely know
that
that there's a lot of work here and on the other side of the bridge. But it seems that she's very resourceful in
Absolutely.
getting us.
Dr. Janet and her team are unbelievable. They really study,
Yeah.
they really prepare. They don't go in without the facts and figures backing them, and they are tenacious. They are driven, and it shows. Look at what's happening in this campus.
It's amazing, and I feel we are so fortunate to have had her this 16 years, and hope she stays 16 more. So I guess, unless you have anything else to add about the impact of the study, I guess we've covered most everything. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Looking forward to the next 10 years.
I look forward to $750 million impact on our economy. I hope that I'm one of the recipients. I know that I am, but it's exciting to see the growth.
It's
It's
entirely
logarithmic.
feasible. It's entirely feasible.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure.
I hope that from our conversation today, people realize that not just the economic, but the cultural, the academic influences that SU has on our community. And
Absolutely. The presence of a university is one of the top things, the top three things people mention when they're talking about the quality of life in a locality. Everything a university brings in adds to that quality of life calculation.
Absolutely.
So we're proud to be part of that.
Well, you should be. Thanks for being here, Memo.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And now here's a look at what's going on the campus in April. I would like to thank my guest, Dr. Memo Diriker, Director of the Business Economic and Community Outreach Network. I'm Susan Purnell, and this has been Salisbury University on the Air. Thank you for watching. And now here's another look at what's happening on the campus in April. Susan Purnell, and this has been Salisbury University on the Air. Thank you for watching.